Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 502 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Piles, joined by my two co-hosts, Steve and Kyle Brackey, and Ben Funky Askren. Ben, coming to us from Wisconsin. And a big woo to start the morning. And we have a special guest on, head coach of Appalachian State, JohnMark Bentley. Coach Bentley on. If you didn't hear, haven't heard, don't know, I sent out a tweet yesterday. App State announced they were cutting several sports, and fortunately, thank the Lord, not wrestling at App State. App State has a really strong program. As you can see right behind Coach Bentley, you've got the SoCon champion 2019 with some pretty sick rings there behind you. So a good program, and they're able to remain off the chopping block. And since the COVID-19 stuff has been coming out, it was kind of one of the first moments of paranoia we had as a wrestling community. Like, oh boy, this might be bad for these programs, especially mid-majors, which App State falls in that. So Coach Bentley, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Well, we're thankful to have you on. So I guess I have quite a few questions, thoughts, but just as you've been working in the athletics department there at App State, how aware were you that, okay, there's going to be some cuts levied against some sports here? Were you aware that was potentially coming?
Well, I don't know that I would say I was aware that it was coming and it was announced, but I was obviously nervous, and if you're paying attention to the national conversation that's going on with mid-major universities and their athletics departments, and recently, I did know that we had taken some hits financially as a university, with the canceling of the NCAA championships for basketball and some other, typical sources of revenue for the athletics department. So I was worried about that, and then obviously you see the news, coming out about other universities announcing the discontinuing of male Olympic sports, and so it obviously, it was definitely on my radar, and I definitely thought there was the potential to have some drastic changes here. Obviously I didn't know what those were. I was just hopeful that our sport wasn't in danger, and I really, my heart goes out to any of the sports that have been dropped during this pandemic. But I think that we'll try to do our best to position our sport as a program that really makes sense on our campus, and brings a lot to the table.
Yeah. So further and for more context, men's soccer, men's tennis, and men's track and field were the programs that were cut at App State. Coach, what do you think you have been able to do at your program to keep App State still an active, flourishing program, and what advice would you maybe give to other programs as they look to remain?
Well, I think that on our campus, wrestling is a really big deal, and there's a lot of reasons. I mean, obviously, we've had a lot of success competitively. We've won a lot of conference championships. We've been ranked in the top 25 in the country, several of the last 3 or 4 years, and had some big Power 5 wins. We've produced some All-Americans. And so from a competitive standpoint, this program has excelled, and we've got a great tradition and history. But I think it's a lot more than that. I think that obviously you want to be very competitive on the wrestling mat, but we bring a lot of other things to the table as well. I mean, our program raises a ton of money. We just recently did about a $200,000 wrestling facility renovation, which we raised the funds for ourselves. And, we're one of 5 ticketed sports at Appalachian State, and, where they're selling tickets. And, the great thing about that is we're selling tickets, and every single time we wrestle a home dual meet, we have standing room only crowds. And so I think there's a lot of things that it's, been, we're very, very fortunate to have going for us here at Appalachian State, and those are just a few of them.
So you've been at App State for a while now. What and how much when you got there are you thinking, okay, not only do I need to coach, I need to win, but I need to show a certain amount of value because I know I coach wrestling and I know that wrestling is a vulnerable sport. When did that kind of enter your consciousness? Like, okay, I have to have a different approach outside of just winning.
I think it was probably 4 or 5 years into my tenure as a head coach when I'm looking at the national landscape of college wrestling and watching programs that were competitive from a wrestling standpoint getting dropped or having the program take a step backwards and things like that. And I've also kind of with being in this role with time have understood that it's important that your wrestling program or any sport fits within the body of the university and with the athletics department. And so, all those things that I just mentioned, are things that Appalachian State has going for us. It makes sense on our campus. I mean, if you step on our campus and you run into any random person or in the town or in the student body, they're aware that we have a really successful wrestling program and that it's a big deal on our campus. And so getting that message out there, a lot of people didn't have a clue how much revenue we actually bring to the university. So about 5 years ago, I started creating an end of the year report that details all that: how much money we raise, how much how much our season ticket sales are every year that goes directly to the athletics department. Just things like that, the success we've had, and just it's not just one thing, but it's a component of all the things that embody why our program is important and why it's successful on this campus. And so just trying to, I understood that getting that message out of the value of Appalachian State wrestling, both within this community, within the university, and within the region was very important. And that's just kind of been my goal. Especially of late, the last 4 or 5 years, I've really tried to make sure that message is being spread.
Well, that's great. It sounds like you've been very proactive, and that's what I think we got to be on the offense. Wrestling has to be on the offense here. They can't be deferential. Just say, well, it's a great sport and we have great athletes. It's so much more than that, especially for ads and sport and just administrators at schools. They're not all going to care about wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think it's also important that you find out what the mission of your university and your athletics departments are, and we as a sport need to position ourselves to be within those missions and values of the university and the athletics department. And I think that's something that I'm really proud of. Here at Appalachian State is that our wrestling program fits well within this university and the culture. And we've had a ton of support. I can't thank our donors, our alumni enough that have made things possible, like the renovations of the wrestling facilities. Our wrestling facilities are top notch, which you guys did a coverage on it last year, and we've had a lot of success, produced All-Americans, had a lot of big wins, in dual meets over the last 5 years. And, I think something else that's important is we're able to get, big time programs, top 25 and Power 5 opponents to wrestle us in varsity gym just because of the atmosphere. And I think anytime that you're wrestling in front of sellout crowds or standing room only crowds, I think that speaks volumes to the university and the athletics department about what a big deal wrestling is and how important it is, within your campus.
Yeah. Looking forward, kind of shifting gears here. What is the next couple months look like for you guys as a program? What have you heard about guys returning to campus and training and things like that? And also, what do you anticipate next season looking like from a competition schedule standpoint?
Well, I think there's still a lot of things up in the air. We're obviously trying to prepare our guys the best we can remotely. We're doing team meetings weekly and making sure that our guys understand that we don't know when we're going to be able to return to campus, but as soon as they are, our guys need to be prepared to be fit, to be in shape, and to be able to start training and getting after it right away, because we may not have as long of a preseason as we've had in years past. And, who knows how long our season could be this year. I mean, I know there's been some mention the last couple of weeks about potentially moving the season to start in January amongst the Division I coaches, and maybe have the NCAA championships conclude in April. And I do think that there would be some value to that, especially in the current circumstances with so many things that are unknown, and campuses trying to return to normal. I don't foresee any athletes being back on our campus before July. I mean, I did see that the NCAA made voluntary workouts allowable again starting June 1st, but I don't foresee that our campus will open up again before July 1, and I think it'll be kind of a phased reopening with staff, potentially fall sports like football and things like that, and then I think it'll gradually kind of open up to the general population. So,
okay, looking to next year, the lineup you're going to put out. What are some? Give us a kind of a sense of what your team's going to look like next year.
Well, I mean, we return a lot. I mean, we graduated 3 seniors, but it was 3 really good seniors. I mean, we had 3 conference champions that were seniors that we're losing, and so we've got to replace those guys. But 7 of our starters that returned had winning records. So this was probably the first year of my coaching career that we had all 10 wrestlers had winning records in the starting lineup. So I thought that was something that was positive and something we could build on. We have a really strong team culture right now, probably the best team culture of any teams that I've coached, and a lot of guys that are hungry, and there's just a lot of positive things going on for our program right now. Our team continues to grow and to improve, and as our culture has gotten better and better, I've seen that the young guys coming in, it's it's easier for them to get on board and maybe have some success early on. And like I said, there's just so many positive things going on in our program right now. I'm excited about next year, the challenge that's ahead. I mean, we do return 7 out of 10 starters, but we lost 3 key ones, which we're working diligently to kind of fill those holes. And obviously with 5 scholarships, that's a challenge, with not being fully funded. But I think, we're in a good spot. Our guys have really put in I think a good amount of work the last couple of years. And so, I'm excited for the challenge ahead and the potential that this team may have.
That's awesome. Well, it's been cool following your program. I appreciate you being able and willing to come on. I think you have a good message to other programs about what is necessary to keep wrestling alive in Division I sports. I think that's super important. Is there anything else before we let you go?
Well, no, I think that, just like I said, I mean, I think that on a lot of campuses, wrestling could be a premier sport. It's just a matter of how we're packaging it and making it like I said, part of the university and athletics department mission, but also it has such a great entertainment value, which our fan base understands that, but we've got to figure out a way to market it to the general population. And that's what we've tried to do, is really kind of, how do we include new fans, and how do we grow the brand, not just within the wrestling community, but within the sports community in general, within just the university and the region. I mentioned before, we're one of only 5 ticketed sports here, and 5. I think we've been selling season tickets for the last 5 or 6 years. And I remember I had a little bit of pushback when I first went to approach my administration about starting to sell season tickets. And I remember they were like, well, it's going to kill your attendance. And it's actually done the opposite. I mean, since we've started selling season tickets, our attendance has continued to grow, because I think we put a value on our program. Mm-hmm. And, I think that's something that, even though those funds go just straight into the athletics department, I'm okay with that, because we're bringing something to the athletics department. You know what I mean? As opposed to just being a constant drain. We want to make sure that we're, helping, promote the the agenda of the athletics department and our university. Obviously, we've had several All-Americans in recent years, and that's very important to us. I mean, we always want to have All-Americans, and our goal here is to be a top 10 team. We've been a top 25 team, things like that, but we're trying to move the needle forward. I've got some great conversations going on right now with donors to grow our scholarship budget, because I think that's the key. I mean, if we can get 5 more scholarships, I think that could make a big, big difference for our program. And so I've got some great conversations going on and some things that look positive moving forward to generate those extra funds for scholarships. So just a lot of exciting things going on. Our program's growing, and it's just a great place to be.
Man, well, that's outstanding. If you just continue on this track, I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to get it. You've done a lot there, and you're on the right path. And it's cool that you've been able to establish wrestling in Boone, North Carolina, where I don't think there's a big wrestling tradition. I think that's hard, and it's interesting, that in Raleigh, Pat Popolizzi, he's been able to energize it. It just kind of shows that with the right vision, you can take a place that doesn't know wrestling or have a rich wrestling tradition and make it a wrestling town. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and we do actually, if you look back in the, the 50s and 60s, Appalachian State Teachers College was actually, it has a strong tradition way back when it was an NAIA and even early on in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, actually had some pretty cool stories. I mean, I've got some pictures that are in my office of matches back then that were in one of the old gyms where it actually shows like it was packed, for one of those matches. And so, it's just recently we've definitely, tried to grow the sport, to a new level. And I think that's important for our success and our sustainability. We have to continue growing as a sport.
Well, appreciate you coming on. Very well said, and we'll be rooting for you back here. Thanks for coming on, Coach. Hope you have a good Thursday, and stay safe out there.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Thanks for all you do for wrestling.
Hey, thanks, Coach. Have a good one. Talk to you later. All right, Coach JohnMark Bentley, App State University. That was really cool. Also, it's really scary. I feel, I don't know if I should feel this way, but like after ODU dropped, I was concerned or worried, or like, is this going to be like a 2-3 week thing, or we're just going to be like this school, that school? And, we dodged one. I say dodged one because CMU dropped not wrestling, but they cut some men's sports. That really worried me, right? But fortunately, Coach Borelli's done such a great job there. But, Coach Martin did a pretty freaking good job at ODU, and they're gone. Now that team doesn't exist. So, and that was an important distinction I think Coach Bentley made, is like, it's not just you can't just win. You can't just be good. You can't be a conference champion. You got to do some other things and align with your administration's vision and align with the school. It's a lot more than just, all right, I'm going to get good wrestlers, I'm going to make them good, and the rest takes care of itself. It just, maybe it should be that way. It is that way in football. It's not that way in wrestling. And that's just
Christian, did you know they sold out all their duels?
App State?
Yeah.
We said that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Standing room only for a lot of their duels. Yeah, that's amazing. We gotta get to a duel there sometime.
We when I was at Ohio, we like every year would do a home and home with them. So my senior year, we went down there, and he's right. It's an awesome atmosphere. It was sold out. They had like the dance team there and like cheerleaders on the side of the mat.
Bracky loved that.
No, I'm just saying, like,
Bracky, how'd it go? Did Ohio win?
Yeah, we won. We had a good team that year.
Hey.
But I'm just talking about that. Like that athletic department gets behind it, and really promotes it. And it was like a show. So no, it was better atmosphere than we have at Ohio. So
heck yeah,
yeah, that's awesome. Hey, you talked about the wrestling town thing, Christian. That kind of made me think of North Carolina. I know certain schools are putting no fly things on their athletic teams, except for maybe conference duels. All those schools down there, I just brought a map up. Man, they're kind of sitting pretty. I mean, because North Carolina's pretty good. Campbell's pretty good. North Carolina State's pretty good. Virginia Tech's not too far away. App State. So they're,
Gardner
Duke,
Webb.
well, they're struggling. They're struggling
Okay.
too.
Oh, I see what I thought you were just talking about geographically.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, to get good matches, right? If you want to wrestle, let's say, a top 25 team, I mean, dude, you guys, the App State, for example, they could probably get 4 top 25 duels within a 4-hour driving distance. I mean, it's pretty nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, well, Virginia lost a good one with ODU, but they still have UVA, Virginia Tech, VMI's there, George Mason's there. Shout out Coach Beasley. So, a lot going on. There is a concentration, and you think about it. If App State is weirdly a Pac-12 team and they're in Boise, Idaho, or somewhere, it's like your budget is going to be insane for traveling. There's just nothing close.
Seriously.
So there's a lot. One of the great things about the East Coast.
Yeah,
we all know.
Well, yeah, because think about some of those teams out west. Think about forget top 25. Oregon State, where the heck can they drive to?
Nowhere.
Nowhere. There's literally nowhere.
I mean, technically, they could drive all to every program, but also, feasibly, they can't. It's
okay.
brutal.
I mean, literally, probably the
maybe
closest
Stanford.
to them is what? Stanford's probably six hours. I mean, that over there, it's so far to get places. It's totally crazy.
It's 9 hours.
9 hours?
Oh, see, I told you. It's crazy. Think about that.
9-hour radius. App State and all these mid-Atlantic teams are probably within 30 programs.
Everybody,
maybe
yeah.
More.
I mean, within 9 hours, App State could get to probably Jersey, I'm guessing.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably?
Yeah, they could get to Jersey. Especially
if
I'm driving. Let me drive the bus.
Boone. Okay, guess how long Boone to Rutgers is?
7:40.
9 hours 10 minutes.
Oh wow! Look at you and your powers of estimation, Ben.
That's less than Corvallis.
No,
it's like
no,
9. It's almost 10.
Yeah, I googled it.
So, hey, well, this has nothing to do with anything, but my for those of you who listen to FRL or follow me on social media, my dad is a terrible traveler and kind of psychotic. Well, they arrived. I walked out the door yesterday morning, and my parents are parked in front, just waiting for me to walk out the door. And so my brother forbid my father from driving across the country. He's 73 now, okay? He's like, you're not allowed to drive from Virginia to Texas anymore. You can't do that by yourself. So
why not? Why are you trying to hold the old man back?
He scares us. He scares us. He's because he's old. And so
Jeez,
it's like,
Christian, you're a bully.
Well, I mean, Natalie was talking about it. She was calling him old yesterday. He's old. He's not young. Okay. So anyway,
all right.
Well, my mom's coming with him, so this is great. So they'll split the time. He did the whole thing by himself in 20 hours. No break. They didn't stop at a hotel, so he's a lunatic.
Freaking savage. He's probably tougher than Wayne Ballman. He probably didn't even stop to pee.
No, he is definitely very, very tough. Okay.
Oh man.
So maybe we'll touch in and out for the App State stuff and just go ahead.
So I guess I had a question about your dad there. So okay,
go ahead.
So I was confused. Did he literally, when you walk out in the morning and they're there, were they not there the night before? They weren't there the night before. So it's not like they came in and they was waiting for you to get up in the morning. They literally just showed up.
Oh, we knew they were coming, but they were supposed to come my mom was we'll probably be there between 9 and 11 in the morning. So I was like, okay, cool. When I get back from radio, they'll be there. And I walk out. I leave for work at 6 a.m. And I see a rental car there. I'm like, what? Are they here? And they were here. And the reason I was like, holy cow, because the day before they said, okay, the GPS has an ETA of 5:30. And that's not factoring in stops or anything. And they were there at 6.
He didn't stop.
Gas and food, I guess, and they packed a cooler
Dude, that's
full of food.
hardcore.
That's
hardcore.
Dude, he's hardcore. So yeah, they're here. Next
Wow.
topic. Hey, Fargo's canceled. Daggone it.
Oh, hey, I had one more thing on the talent debate.
Oh, okay.
That I wanted to bring up. No, I'm just messing with our listeners.
Oh.
Let's go to Fargo.
Just give me 20 minutes. No. Yeah, Fargo's canceled. That stinks.
Yeah.
I was probably naively optimistic that maybe it would happen or some version of it would happen. It is not happening. No Fargo. And Ben, I just want your gut reaction, not really to the decision, because it's like, well, obviously the decision is understandable and very logical. But like, what are the ramifications of no Fargo as you see it?
Well, I everything, the dominoes fell really quickly yesterday, at least for us here in Wisconsin. So it was like I was teaching private lessons with small groups, and I was like, oh crap, guys, Fargo's canceled. Sorry. When I know more, I'll tell you. Oh, hey, Wisconsin's going to do both the freestyle Greco and youth folk state in August. Okay, that's great. At least we got that. We got that, right? We got that to report out. Oh, hey, UWW is going to host their trials in Ohio in August or September. Okay, we got that. So it was kind of like, okay, well, we at least got some closure on Fargo, and then we also have then some stuff to look forward to, which, we haven't really had much to look forward to since March. So it was both obviously a really negative, but then, I felt like that was some really positive things that we had something to look forward to, and now, obviously something for the guys to start training for.
Yeah, so it's good you'll have at least states to train for.
Yeah.
What about the first thing I thought of was kind of the recruiting ramifications?
Yeah,
right?
that's huge.
This is where you beat Troy Letters, Ben.
So without that, you're nailing it. Without that summer, who knows where the hell I end up? Because especially at that time, there was no Super 32 or, there's a few other really good fall tournaments, right? Mm-hmm. But, I just had this talk with a few of the juniors, and, because the way we run our program is the idea is that kids get a steep incline of improvement as they go through high school. And we have a few of these juniors who've gotten just so much better over the course of the last year. And now they didn't have a Folkstyle National Tournament this spring. They didn't have a junior duels. They don't have a freestyle state. They don't have a Northern Plains. They don't have Fargo. So they literally have 0 matches. There's nowhere that they can go to compete. And that's really hard because I don't want to say some of them were banking on this spring to, try to find out where they're going to college, but yeah, they probably were. And so, what I think will happen, and part of me says, maybe this is even a good thing. The recruiting will just get pushed back, right? The recruiting is going to get pushed back till this fall. I've always thought the recruiting happened too early, and I didn't really think there was any way to solve that. Because if someone goes early, then everyone else has to go early. Otherwise, you get left behind. Yeah. So maybe the recruiting will get pushed back to this fall. Maybe that's a positive thing.
Are we gonna have like the craziest Super 32 ever? Like with no Fargo? Every Super 32 is like the craziest thing ever. With literally over half the ranked wrestlers in the country are there. But now does that get exacerbated with? All right, I didn't get to show my stuff at Fargo. Let me go to Super 32 and get put on the map, because it's another good way to get put on the map. But it's so much more rigorous than Fargo.
So hard. Because there's obviously only one age group, right? Fargo, at least you split the age groups by 2. Mm-hmm. Super 32, that's not the case. Yeah, it's rigorous, but man, I've had some really good kids go. Peyton Mako, before he went third at Flow, he was, I think, 2-2 or 3-2. Keegan the year before he broke out and won Super 32. The year before, he was either 2-2 or 3-2. He had like one good win, but he had lost to a couple guys. So it's like, man, if the coaches, if they're really hustling, dude, there's some we're talking. I'm not even talking like in the quarterfinals, Christian. We're talking around at 64. There's some freaking battles. Yeah. Really good kids. Yeah, for real. So
it is a mind-blowing tournament in terms of how much
it really is.
How much talent there is. It's crazy.
Yeah, skill. You mean?
No, I don't. I mean talent. Apparently, my father's listening, and he He wants a shirt that says "freaking savage" now because you called him a freaking savage.
Yes, you should make it for him.
Right.
The other thing that could happen here too. Obviously, I agree with Super 32 will be big. But there's some other pretty good. I really like the Grapple Fall Classic. That's a Michigan tournament. I don't think you guys stream it. They should stop being stubborn and probably stream on Flow. I don't know where the heck they stream at. But they will. Obviously, I think there'll probably be more people wanting to go to that. Because that's. Listen, I was talking to some kids yesterday, and then I started with another group, and they were juniors, right? And I finished talking to them. I started with the next group, and obviously I said, hey, we're going to go Super 32. But then I walked back into the room where they were getting ready to leave, and I said, guys, actually, you know what? Let's just plan on going to everything. Go to everything because, well, yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I think if a good high school kid beats a couple nationally ranked guys, say, at Grapple Fall Classic, right? He beats a couple of nationally ranked guys, and then maybe doesn't place at Super 32. Well, the coaches are going to go back and look, oh, he beat this guy and this guy. That matters, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to want to see how you perform against other really highly ranked guys. So yeah, I think that matters for sure.
If you were a high school wrestler now, Ben, would you be one of those guys that just enters everything? Because you wrestled every single day for like 8 years.
Oh, I wrestled in every. I tried wrestling in a college open, and I got turned down from that because when I was in high school, you couldn't wrestle in the fall. There was not there. Literally tournaments didn't exist. I mean, there was nothing. Yeah, I wrestled in. I mean, everything I could. So I always went to the Western Regional in Vegas, right? That was one that we went to. And then, one stupid tournament I went to is they had this tournament called the Iron Man. Not in Ohio,
I've heard
obviously.
of it.
No, not in Ohio. It was in Michigan, and you wrestled every style, and whoever got the most total points at the end got a big medal.
Dude, I wrestled in one of those too. They used to have one in Cincinnati. It was called
Really?
Yeah, it was
Spider-Man.
I forget what it was called, but they had one. Yes, they had one in Cincinnati
Spider-Man.
For a few years, and like you said, you added up the total points of all three styles.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, so I would wrestle everything I could, but there wasn't availabilities.
Wow. Yeah. So we would have seen. Who is that? Like Dayton Fix? Maybe it's curly-headed people. They just want to wrestle at everything. 'Cause Dayton wrestled at everything. Every tournament. It's like, well, I'll probably see Dayton Fix this weekend because there's a wrestling tournament happening.
Another one that wrestled everywhere was Kanan Store.
Kanan Store wrestled at everything.
Yeah.
He was at Flow Nationals. I'd see him at Flow Nationals. Then the next week I'd see him at NHSCA Duels.
He'd be at Journeyman, everywhere. He was everywhere.
Kanan Store. And some of the Michigan guys, they kind of stay very Michigan-y. But he was like...
Yeah, you're right.
All over the place.
That's a good fall tournament, Christian. I wish freaking Albany wasn't so far away because I love Frank Pop and I love that tournament. But Albany is it's like, I don't know if you know, the United States is here. It's like way up here in the corner, and it's really, really hard to get to.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
It's not easy to get to from a lot of places unless you're in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. It's a hike. But no, very good tournament. But think of it in relation to Corvallis to Palo Alto, and it's not so bad.
It really isn't when you're out west. But that is it. When you're out west, they're all straight, and you just go 1,000 miles an hour, and then you get there, get there real fast.
Yeah, that's a good point. I want to get to Albany. Let's just see. I'm going to see how far of a drive it is. It's a 14-hour drive.
Wow. Yeah, you're talking about from Wisconsin, or were you talking about from?
I put Milwaukee.
Oh yeah, yep, about 14 hours.
So
one time
how far every drive is now.
I was planning on going. I was planning on going to the spring one he does with people come from all over the world. Frank
international.
Does that one.
Yeah, the one in April.
I don't recall what it's called. Yeah, and I was going, and then I got booked to fight on that date, and I had to ask. My chaperones were Josh Wagner, my buddy, and then Keegan's dad, Brian. And they drove a van with 10 kids out to that tournament. And I remember Josh saying he was just tortured the whole time. The kids were annoying the crap out of him. 14 hours in a van, one way and back with, So then Brian Keegan's dad, he's a tough one. So he had to threaten all the kids to leave Josh alone or he's going to, go back there and strangle him or something.
But the kids were messing with the coach?
Well, they were. Oh yeah, Josh is very easy to mess with. But yeah, or they were fighting with each other. I remember 2 kids started to fight each other in the back. Yeah, it's 10 kids in a van for 14 hours. Think about all the possibilities that could happen.
Think of the
Josh
smells.
did not like it. He said never, ever, ever again.
Yeah, he'll personally pay for the flights next time. All right. So no Fargo, and that's that, and that's all. Nothing we can do about it. Moving on, and I don't know if there will or will not be a world team or trials or anything like that for juniors, cadets, U23s. I don't know.
Well, I thought I heard there would be. That's what I heard yesterday.
Well, the release that USA put out said they were going to focus on local,
state, regional,
which would not be national. But they didn't.
Are you sure that? I thought I saw one that said World Team Trials in August in Ohio.
That sounds good to me.
I thought that's what I read somewhere.
Rocky's pulling it up right now. He's going to read the entire release.
Don't threaten me.
Do you see the look at the end of that release, Brecky? Is it UWW's in Ohio in August or something?
No, it doesn't say that.
That's a beautifully colored monster can. Look at that thing.
Yeah, how about this?
This is Rehab.
That's Buffalo Gap colors there, baby. Show them the Rehab. Oh, yeah.
No free ads, but shout out Monster because you might sponsor Flow Sports.
I don't know, maybe.
Possibly.
If you're sending us fridges full of your stuff, I don't know. That's something. That's definitely something. So that's a Rehab?
That's a Rehab, yeah.
Half lemonade, half tea, half caffeine?
Yeah.
Half cocaine.
Half cocaine. Plus the great 25 calories, it claims. That's not many. All right.
Only 3 grams of sugar.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
that
God.
really is Rehab.
Yeah, so I would be interested to see if some other options pop up this fall too. Just people. The ingenuity of the American spirit is pretty strong, Christian. So who knows what else will pop up as options for us in say August, September. I bet we'll see more options.
When are you gonna start having events?
We're starting our practices June 1 next week.
I mean, sorry, events though.
Oh,
like are you gonna?
Well, we did 10 tournaments. We lost money in all 10. So
nice.
I think we're gonna start them again. But it's hard. It's hard running tournaments. And then everyone thinks you're making a whole bunch of money, and you're like, nah, actually, I lost money 10 tournaments in a row now. This isn't really all that fun. You know what though? We could, maybe because Corona, we could host like under a fight club where we just, lock all the academy doors and we just like have cameras streaming every mat and just, let matches go on for 24 hours straight or something.
Oh, there you go. That's an option. 24 hours. Mm-hmm. Lock them down. Okay. Where to next? We could talk about one thing we discussed that was kind of interesting that I kind of wanted to delve a little deeper into was the potential lineups for Penn State next year and beyond and the kind of options they had. That was kind of started when we were discussing Michigan and the options they have, and Ben Askren and the crew kind of concluded they should kind of sit everyone again and then run it back for Detroit NCAAs in 2022. Yes. That would be.
Did you call Coach Formet and tell him that we have a plan?
No, I haven't done that. Thought about it. I'm sure he's thought about it, right?
Well, yeah, but we might have a plan.
Well, maybe we have a plan. Just hear me out, Coach. What if you won it in Detroit? That would be pretty epic, right? Maybe so epic. That would be fun. So that made me think about, okay, what could Penn State? Because I kind of threw out what they could be next year and where they wouldn't be, and the year beyond if they redshirted guys. But I kind of put a little more thought into it, what it could look like for them. So
Christian, this redshirt lineup you put together, pretty rough.
If they sit everyone, yeah,
it's not very pretty.
It's the hard knock life in a few of these weights. But a little pain now for some pleasure later. Be worth it, maybe. I don't know if pleasure is the best word, but whatever. Pleasure and pain are like so frequently contrasted that like I don't know.
Move on.
I've been listening to a lot of Fort Minor.
Just keep going.
10% luck, 5% pleasure, 50% pain. So whatever. Just let me live, for crying out loud. So the Penn State best case lineup next year, as I see it, this is like if they push all their chips in the middle, would be something like this. 125, Robbie Howard. 133, RBY. 141, Nick Lee. 149, Jared Verclaren. 157, Brady Berge. 65, Joe Lee. 74, Carter Starocki. 84, Aaron Brooks. 97, Michael Beard. Heavyweight, Greg Kirkfleet. Okay? That's 10 bona fide recruits in your lineup for sure. That is, I don't know how many All-Americans. I don't know how many national champs they could get out of that. I would say RBY, Nick Lee, Brooks, Kirk. It's 4 or 5 title contenders in my mind. Is that crazy to say? Tell me which one. I'm going to give you my 5. You tell me which one is not a title contender. RBY, Nick Lee, Carter Starocki, Aaron Brooks, Greg Kirkfleet.
Okay, so I don't say on any of those that's impossible, but at the same time, I don't think I give any of those people. This is going to be scary, Christian. I don't give any of those people better than a 10% chance of winning. And the one I'm thinking about boosting is Carter Starocki.
Really?
Yeah, who can he beat that's in the – man, I told you I was really impressed with him at Southern Scuffle, and I'm not lying on that. I was really impressed with them. And 174 clears out. His dad going to be there, he said. Who can he beat at 174?
Michael Kimmer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Damn it. He just went down to less than 10% chance.
Well, it's interesting because, you know what, last year, Nick Lee probably had, in the eyes of the wrestling world, around a 50% chance of winning NCAAs, right? Would you say that? It was going to be him or Luke Pletcher, probably.
Yeah,
maybe,
yep.
Probably that's how we view it. So now, Yanni maybe comes back to this way, Jaden Ironman, and he goes from a 50% chance down to
Seabass.
Yeah, maybe Seabass, who wants us to not call him fat, even though we're not calling him fat.
You guys fat shamed him.
No, we
Terrible
didn't.
People.
You put out a lot of fake news, Ben.
He liked the stink bug season, though.
Stink bug season. Yeah, he's in on it. Seabass gets it. But no, so with that, then Nick Lee would go from a 50% chance of winning NCAAs down to under 10?
If Yanni's in that weight, I think Nick Lee's under 10. Because it's not only, okay, what's the percent chance if I match him and Yanni up, right? But it's now he's got to beat at least two, but possibly 3 of those guys to win, right? Because if he ends up in a 3 or 4 seed at NCAAs, now he's going to have to beat someone really good because we just kind of listed all those guys. Man, that's I don't feel very comfortable with him winning at all.
Okay, holy cow. Well, I think we could reasonably say that's 5 top 3 potential guys.
Yeah, I think you can see that, but I mean, could you see some of those guys placing lower than 3rd? I think the answer to that is yes. I mean, look, especially if Nikki Push-Ups comes back, look at who RBY's got to beat. Rivera, Fix, Michik, Nikki Push-Ups, and DeSanto. That's like, I could see him 5th or 6th.
Yeah, I could too.
That's a nasty group. Could Robbie Howard really make 125?
I mean, he wrestled 126 last year, I would imagine.
I think so. Boy, what if he can't? If Robbie Howard can't be a 25-pounder, what are they going to do at 125?
I have no idea, but if Robbie Howard could be 125, I mean, obviously we haven't seen him on a college schedule, but I feel like he could, kind of start pushing up in the rankings fairly high also.
Yeah. I like Robbie's game. I always have.
You look at 125 too. There's opportunity. You know what? It's not a 33 or a 41.
No, it's not. So it's a way to do it. So they could do that lineup. Now they also have a lot of redshirt. There's the other side of the coin where it can get kind of. Well, we'll call it different. So this is with the redshirting the following guys. They could redshirt next year. Robbie Howard, Roman Bravo Young, Nick Lee, Bo Bartlett, and Aaron Brooks. All those guys still have red shirts available to them, right?
Yeah.
So then this lineup, now there's a lot of guesswork here because I don't know who it would necessarily be, but it's someone like this. So 25 would probably be Brandon Meredith again. Then 33, Austin Claybaugh, maybe. I don't know. 41. Dom Giangeli, Scott Obendorfer, Joey Bloomer. I don't know any of those guys to put them in any sort of order.
Never heard of them.
Right. Then you got Verclaren, Berge, Lee, Starocki is pretty much going to be their lineup for the next 4, barring injury or whatever. And then 84 with Brooks out, it's maybe Austin Hoops. I'm not sure. Then Beard, Kirkfleet at the end. So they'll have some real life at some weights, but some weights just don't look to have real point scoring potential.
Yeah.
So they could really go hot or cold there. And the big trade-off, I guess, or what you lose if you wrestle everyone next year is basically you don't get Nick Lee's senior year the following year because he's a senior coming up, so you wouldn't get him the next year when Iowa is going to be down. And if you say, okay, well, maybe we can't beat Iowa this year, but we think we can beat him next year, well, it's going to be a lot harder if you don't have Nick Lee. Because as good as Bo Bartlett is, you could have Bo Bartlett and Nick Lee both in the lineup, right? Because here's where it gets really interesting, Ben, is if they sit everyone, this is why you sit everyone, because it sets up this potential weight. What?
Sure, okay. Go for it. I'll make my point after.
All right. So it could potentially, growth, who knows what happens, right? 25, Robbie Howard. 33, RBY. 41 and 49, Bo Bartlett, Nick Lee in some order. I'm not sure if Nick would go up or Bo would go up. I don't know, but probably those two. 57, Brady Berge. 65, Joe Lee. 74, Carter Starocki. 84, Brooks. 97, Beard. Heavyweight, Kirkfleet.
Yeah.
And that's a really good team. And that really good team goes against not the Iowa gangbuster squad that they're going to have next year. It's going to be the Iowa squad that doesn't have Spencer Lee, Austin DeSanto, Alex Marinelli, Michael Kemmer, and others. Caleb Young.
So the worst team on this by a long shot, of best case and worst case for the next 2 years is the worst case next year. If you redshirt everybody, it's a rough squad right there, dude. I don't know if that squad's taking top 10. Like, it'll be close. So that's maybe they might be lower when I look at that lineup. So if you wrestle Nick Lee, I don't feel like Bo Bartlett's gonna be that much of a drop off from Nick Lee in 2 years, right? I think if you give him a year, and who knows, right? Obviously, you never really know how he's gonna turn out, but I think all signs would point that he's gonna be pretty damn good in 2 years. I think you just wrestle Nick Lee and everyone else next year, and try to do the best you can. And then that squad in 2 years is, you'll still have Aaron Brooks. You'll still have, you won't lose anybody else.
Right. Because all those guys will be back. So you could do that. And then, Verclaren's going to continue to develop. And they also have Adam Buziello, who, I don't know.
He's got issues.
He's got a ways to go, I would say. It's going to be a little bit. But when we're talking about a little bit, we're talking 2 or 3 years down the line. Then if you do go Bo Bartlett and it's either Verclaren or maybe a Buziello at 49, maybe that won't be as huge a drop-off as when you have Nick Lee there. So that's a fair point that they wouldn't have to have such a painful year next year necessarily. Mm-hmm. They could be really competitive this year and next year, right? But they also do have options there, which makes it interesting. And then I was thinking about, I forget, as Starocki slots in so nicely at 174, I was like, Penn State at 174 has just been ridiculous, right? And then I went the year by year who they've had in their lineup. Okay, so I started 2011 because that's when they won the first title. So it was Ed Ruth, Matt Brown, Bo Nickel, 4 years of Mark Hall. They had a national champion in their lineup since 2011. All those guys won NCAAs. Wild. All those guys won NCAAs. Not every single year. Yeah. They all were NCAA champions. That is insane. And so then I looked at their 84, which was also pretty ridiculous. And then I did Iowa's 125. So here's Penn State's 84. Quentin, Ed, McCutcheon, Bo, Shaq, Aaron Brooks. And I was like, well,
not as good as their 74.
No way. No, definitely not. But then Iowa 25, McD 4 years, Corey Clark 1 year, Gilman 3 years, Spencer 3 years, and soon to be 4 years. That's pretty ridiculous.
You know what will be fun here, Christian, would be, and I know you guys done these 125 U's, but it's probably one of these two, either Penn State 174 or Iowa 125, just to do the total amount of team points at that weight class, right? Over the last NCAAs, or or average score per year. That'd be really interesting to see.
Yes, it would. And the one thing in here is there's a 2013 McD DNP. Whereas that didn't happen for any of the Penn State 74s. If you're taking off score, because they went 3. I don't remember how Matt Brown placed, but
when there's 125 U's, we have the total team points that they got in that time frame.
Yeah,
we just haven't got to 174 yet.
Done every weight.
Yeah.
Well, Penn State 165 is 4 years Vincenzo, and then 2 years David, and then who else?
3 years David.
3 years David.
They had like a Gino Morelli, Shakur Rashid type of year in there.
Yeah.
At one point, as they transitioned from David to Vincenzo, there was like maybe it was just 1 year where they weren't, because 12, 13, 14 was David Taylor. 15, I don't remember.
No, so there'd be 2 years, because then 17, 18, 19, 20 was Vincenzo.
Right. So basically 7 of the 10-ish, 8-ish years, whatever.
Yeah.
They've had a national champion caliber guy. So yeah, they've been really good there. So I don't. Nice. It is curious, all the lineup flex. So as I was doing this with Penn State, I was like, well, this would be kind of fun to do with Iowa, and this would be fun to do with Michigan. Kind of look at like not just what they could be next year, but what them sitting guys next year could lead to the years down the line, or vice versa, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to say, though, also, Christian, because for me, right, so we're looking at next year, but then, you're talking about Penn State 2021, 2022, which is 2 years. I mean, the other thing that I don't want to say we're not considering in here, but, man, I feel like true freshmen have a bigger impact than ever. Right? I mean, they have the probability of popping in a lineup and being really, really good right away. And so when we're considering 2021, 2022 lineups, we're not really even considering what it would be high school seniors this year, right? High school seniors this year could then be in the lineups that year, and I don't think we even really consider. It is hard to prognosticate. It's hard saying who's the high school senior that Penn State's got signed right now. Facundo, it's hard saying, well, Facundo's, he's a sure thing in 2021, 2022. Listen, could Facundo place in NCAAs in 2 years? Yeah, he could, right? Mm-hmm. Could he also not be very good? Yeah, that could happen also. So it's like you don't really want to prognosticate that, but, there are those possibilities. I mean, there's been plenty of true freshmen winning and won titles in the last decade.
Very true. I was thinking about Facundo as I was looking for Penn State best case lineup, and I was like, well, how does he fit here? How does this work? Because he's apparently not a 65 in any way.
Really?
I don't think so. It seems like he's going to be like a 74, 84. But if he could be a 65 as a true freshman, and would he even be able to supplant Joe Lee at that point?
I think so.
Really? Yeah, maybe.
I do too.
I mean, I do too. But I think when you consider this will be Joe Lee's going to start next year at 65, all but assured, right? So he's going to have been at Penn State for 2 or 3 years, and he'll have a full varsity lineup under his belt, or whatever full looks like next year with the weird scheduling things. Maybe he could be really tough to replace by Facundo.
Yeah.
But Facundo, I think I think he's going to be outstanding, right? I think he's going to be super good. But maybe he takes a year. I just look at his frame. He's tall. He was only a sophomore or junior last year, so he's going to continue to grow. Yeah. I think he's someone that ends his career maybe even at 84 at some point, right? That wouldn't shock me. Maybe he's done growing, but I could see him getting bigger. Do they gap year him or redshirt him, or do they throw him in right away? So they'll have some flexibility with Facundo. But if they wanted to get interesting with it and inject him into the lineup, not this year but next year, that would definitely add to their talent level.
I also went and looked at the team points.
You just gonna correct me every time I say talent all the time. I'm not trying to prove a point. I just say it.
All right, go ahead. And then I have a crazy thought. Maybe we have a plan that we're going to call it.
Okay.
All right, I'll go quick. I went back and looked at the team points for the 125, 133, all that stuff used that we have through 57. Iowa 125 is actually not in the lead at the moment. It's 133
Really?
for Oklahoma State.
Wow.
So who's that? Dayton, Kate
So,
Brock.
The big scores. So this goes all the way back to when the current weight classes were formed. So
How many years ago was that? How many years ago?
I think it was
98?
99, I think.
Oh, wow. That's a long ways back.
Yeah, since 1999. So they have 5 NCAA champions there, which is huge. It's Johnny Thompson twice. He was 2-1-1-3. Coleman Scott was second, then first, and then Jordan Oliver was 4-1-2 at 130.
And you had Nathan Morgan in there for at least two All-Americans, maybe three
Yeah.
All-Americans.
This is just like the main scores. And that beats Iowa by 20-some points. What's interesting though is in the first 5 weights,
by 20.
Yeah, Iowa's
Wow.
215 for 125U, but in the first 5 weights, Iowa has the most team points.
The first 5 total.
So they take 3 of the first 5 weights. So they took 125U, 149U, 157U.
Got it.
Man,
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
57.
Yeah. Who's 57? So you had
DSJ.
So we got 20 years. You had Joe Johnston.
Mm-hmm.
If you go that far back,
I'm pulling.
Who else do you have that's really good from them? I'm blanking.
I am too. He's pulling it up.
TJ Williams,
Oh,
Derek
shoot.
St. John.
We were that far
Michael
back.
Kimmer.
Oh shoot. Yeah.
Yeah, TJ Williams will help.
Okay. Ready for my crazy idea?
Always.
I might have a plan. We might have to phone this into Iowa City. Okay. So here's what you do. You let Spencer and DeSanto wrestle unattached starting next year. Okay. You potentially keep them in red shirt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe let them do a few freestyle tournaments. You got some other guys you can wrestle in there. They had a couple good recruits, right, that they can wrestle. There's some good backups they have that they can wrestle. Yep. And, hey, if you're blowing the doors off and you don't need them, you keep them in red shirt so you could possibly win the next 2 titles because between DeSanto and Lee, they both have a red shirt, and that's probably, we'll call it 40 points.
Yeah.
And then obviously, in addition, then you would have Spencer Lee, being able to optimize his training for the Olympic team trials and the Olympics. What do you think?
I like it. I like the consideration. I don't know if, Spencer, would he want to take the Olympic anyways, or would he just want to compete and do it? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, especially Christian, if JohnMark Bentley mentioned that they might move NCAAs back to April, right? Then where are trials going?
Trials. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. And that could really really factor into the decision making for some of these guys. I don't think a lot of these athletes are going to make the redshirt or wrestle decision for any foreseeable near term, right? They're going to wait and see what's going to be the situation. Winter trials, winter NCAAs. What should I do?
Yeah, as they should. I mean, that obviously that scenario is laid out. I think it gives them the best possible chance because you actually have fairly decent fill-ins. We talked about after this year, Cassiope's back, Warner's back. They're going to have a good 84 back. You can put in Nelson Brands at 74, so he'll be back. You can probably fill in like a Patrick Kennedy. Yeah, TJ Phil and Patrick Kennedy at 65. Murin's back. So that team with Spencer Lee and Austin DeSanto, that can score a lot of points. And then obviously if you have DeSanto, if you go 2 years down the road, Michik is out of the way. Who else? There's a few other guys from 133 that'll be kind of cleared out of there that would make his path to a title easier also.
Maybe Soriano will be gone. So I'm sorting here by who else they could eliminate or redshirt and who they would throw in there. So yeah, they could go Cashman, Gavin Teasdale next year at 25 and 33 and be very competitive.
And they have Colin Shriver and Jesse Ybarra, which I don't know how good those guys are at the collegiate level, but you could probably sneak them down in there somewhere.
Shriver's he's got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
He's just been snake bit a little with injury. I like Ibarra. I think he's going to be pretty dang good for Iowa.
Yeah.
So or they could wrestle him right away, right? They'll have some options there without question. So that would be interesting. Yeah, they could have a decision to make and just hold him in red shirt, and if they got to use him. But you don't want to get cute with it and not wrestle them this year, and then you don't win, and then next year you wrestle them, but they don't win again because Marinelli and Kemmerer are gone, right? And Caleb Young
for sure.
So it's you're really kind of walking a.
I taught a piece of wisdom to a couple of my athletes last week, and then now they're making fun of me for this saying, Christian, because I think like I don't know, I'm an old guy or something, but I'm sure you've heard this, right? 1 in the hand is worth 2 in the bush.
A bird in the hand worth 2 in the bush. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, I taught them that. Like take what's there, take the points there. Don't get greedy, because you got something here. They're making fun of me like I'm an old guy or something.
What?
Get lost,
that's sound
kids.
wisdom.
That is sound wisdom for the last 2,000 years and for the next 2,000 years.
Yes.
Hey,
exactly right.
Someone in the chat, what the hell happened to Mason Manville? Is he not even at Penn State anymore?
He took an Olympic.
So
I didn't even see that guy. Does he exist anymore?
Of course. No, he vanished. He was abducted.
He took an Olympic for Greco, and he didn't get a chance to wrestle.
So if we remember, he wrestled at 65 some 2 years ago. He gave Chance Marcel a really pretty close match, as I recall. He would be he could be him versus Joe Lee for that 65 spot. I could see that being a tough matchup if he can make 65. He made it before. Let's look at.
I mean, he just stood in there and hand fought Chance.
Okay. That is allowed in the.
I know, but he didn't come close to ever scoring.
Dang, he was 7.
He does not have a pen. He does not have a pen.
I don't know what we're. Yeah.
They wrestled him at 84 at the end.
Is Mason Vanville Bracky's new Joey Gunther?
No,
not at all. No. I'm just saying, I think he's not going to score points.
Yeah, it was a 4-2 decision. He had a close one with Zach Feinsilver, 8-7 loss. He lost close. He loses close. See, he'd be competitive. I don't know if he's on Joe Lee's level or not.
Also, I just want to clarify, I made a mistake with the U's because Nomad's dumb formatting. He has a graph up here with placement points.
Uh-huh.
But then down here is the actual, I guess with bonus and stuff.
How many, the actual points?
Yes. Why wouldn't he include that? What the heck, Nomad?
I don't know, right? I don't know why you would have it in 2 different places. It should just be one thing. Those are the tournament points.
Dude,
so
you better go yell at him, Bracky.
125U for Iowa actually edges Oklahoma State 278 to 276.
Oh my gosh, 2 points.
Barn burner.
Holy smokes.
So we'll see where Penn State stacks up at 174.
Goodness gracious. Okay. Well, that's fun. Fun stuff. So yeah, I don't know. The lineup considerations are always fun to talk about, and that's really all we can talk about right now. Unfortunately.
Well, let's go Q's from F's and then call it a week. Tell everyone to get lost.
We'll call it a week. Beat it, dorks. Says Ben Askren.
Scott Ross loved it when I told him to shut his yapper.
Yeah, he went from
from
0 to hero or hero to 0 real quick on the FRL.
Well, he didn't send me a bear poster. Get lost, Scott.
It's a collective, it's a gift to the show, right? Hey,
yes.
Well, then someone else sent that Kill was sponsored by the Hy-Vee chunky soup.
Yeah,
which I didn't realize.
Come on.
I swear, pull it up.
I think it was Scott too.
Scott knows all about the Cale Sanderson endorsements. Someone else sent it.
I'll find it.
A Hy-Vee chunky soup. Oh my goodness.
Hy-Vee are Hy-Vees big in Wisconsin, or is that an Iowa thing?
There's a couple in Wisconsin. No, it was founded in Iowa.
Got it.
It's an Iowa thing for sure.
Scott Ross's Twitter bio is told to shut my yapper by Ben Askren.
He changed it quick. He changes his Twitter stuff quicker than you.
All right. I got a new name today. Check it out.
Oh boy, here, all right. This should be a yeah, I don't get it. Anheuser?
It's the opposite of a hyzer.
Well, what's a hyzer?
Well, Christian, you need to get out, get out from underneath that rock and go live your life. It's a disc golf term for, a flight of a disc, and then the anhyzer is the opposite. It goes, comes up and then goes this way.
Okay, neat.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be something actual intellectual, but it's disc golf, so I don't feel bad, and I'm not going to look it up.
Disc golf's intellectual.
Okay.
Here it is.
All right, here it is. We're gonna have the picture, but first I'm going to ask this question. This will be a good question for Ben because he probably thinks about this more than me.
Wait, what did Kyle get a picture of?
You'll see. Just hold on.
Okay.
We're from FRL listener. Where do you think wrestling will be improved the most in 10 years? Scrambling, top, bottom, neutral, etc. Where do you see like the evolution going?
Oh my goodness. I would have to say neutral because that's one of those things where people spend the most time because obviously freestyle and folk style, well, they're not the same. There's a significant amount of similarities. And then people just like it the most. Like everyone sucks at bottom the most, right? Just almost by definition. Yeah. But you can't get kids to want to work bottom for nothing. I mean, like it's like pulling teeth to get kids to work leg riding defense when they're getting a face ground in the mat and because the legs were in on them. There's probably nothing more miserable, but it's so hard to get people to want to work that. And then obviously freestyle season, obviously you're not working it at all. So I would say just, kind of by time spent, it's gonna be neutral. And then obviously if we're talking just United States, but we can steal international techniques also, right? Like the thing that Chimizo does, what I'm talking about from single.
Love it.
Oh, hold on. I gotta make sure my wire doesn't get caught. I need to get wireless, so he's got the leg up here, and then he swims back in, and he yanks his heel back down to the ground, and he creates essentially a 50-50 potentially, or he's back in a high crotch like that. That thing's
like a
pure
switch,
wizardry,
like
right?
A switch thing.
It's almost like sure. You end up kind of like a switch, but you're both on your knees, and then he's got a lot of options off of it. So Keegan actually used it. Who's number one last year against Pedro Gallagher. So we could steal neutral techniques from international wrestlers where obviously we're not doing that on the mat at all.
Yeah.
So I would say neutral.
I would have said neutral if I have to pick a position because kids are more focused on making world teams. Wait, we've got the chunky soup. Pull up the chunky soup.
Oh my God.
Okay. So I don't know if we can freeze and enhance. I can't read it as well because my eyes aren't great, but Hy-Vee chunky grilled chicken, Hy-Vee chunky grilled sirloin. We're freezing and enhancing here. So steak with vegetables. Doesn't say anything. It just has Kale Sanderson on there if you're listening to this.
It says wrestling champion and Hy-Vee soup enthusiast.
So he loves Hy-Vee
soup. No, it
soup.
doesn't. Where at? I can't see. On the bottom in the red.
Scroll down.
Scroll down. Go down.
So
who's been?
There we go.
No, other way. Yes.
Oh my God! Hy-Vee soup enthusiast.
They better pay Kale a lot of money for that.
He signed the cans. Man, I would love those. Those would be a great decoration. Actually,
do you think they did a special edition where he actually like hand signed with a Sharpie and you could like win those or something, or maybe a gold marker?
Yeah, maybe that would be a good way to launch the campaign. So yeah.
Wow.
So yes, he's a big chunky soup, but not Campbell's chunky, Hy-Vee chunky soup. Dale Sanderson.
Yeah,
so
how do you make a soup for that?
No, you can. It's a description. You should be able to call. it chunky. Don't try to get Hy-Vee in trouble, Ben.
I don't know. I feel like they kind of ripped off Campbell's there.
Yeah, I think so. Well, will Kale be included on the lawsuit?
No. Hey, but those look like it got mailed to them separate. Look at the box it's in. It's in like little soup divots there. It's like they were mailed as a like a collector's item.
Yeah.
Oh, you can still buy them.
Yeah, no, this is Scott found this on eBay.
Oh man.
God. Kyle, you need to buy that. You need to buy that and put it in front of your computer like you used to have the Broncos helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how much? How much is it on eBay?
It doesn't say.
Oh, come on. We'll sign in. Let's figure it out.
I don't have an eBay account.
Oh,
this isn't even eBay. This is worth points.
Listen, that's a company expense right there, guys.
Send me the link. I'll get this done. All right. So we say neutral because people are trying to make world teams, and yeah, very good.
Yeah, I think that's for sure. Hey, there was one question I didn't like. I don't even know what this guy's. Can you read it to me to make sure I'm like my brain's not going fuzzy here? Because I thought it was like the guy trying to sound smart, but it wasn't all that good of a question. So it's the next question below the one you just asked.
Okay, the pie one. It's not really a question. It was a response to that one. So he said top and scrambling is more wrestlers learn jiu-jitsu. We've already seen Roscoff and Nolf blow people's minds with fairly basic stuff, and that's just the beginning.
So I thought he was trying to be really smart here. Like that's just no. Stop. Like I've done jiu-jitsu for a decade. I wrestle for much longer than that. While there are a few things that are crossover applicably, it's not just the beginning. Like, come on, dude. What are we doing? 50-50 position heel hooks in wrestling? That ain't gonna happen. Give me a freaking break here. Yeah. So no, I don't think there's that much stuff coming over from jiu-jitsu. I think there's a few body movements. Like Christian, you're a white belt, right? Maybe you got one stripe.
The whitest of whites.
Okay, so like, there's the hip shrimping or using your feet.
Yeah.
There's a few body movements, not actual wrestling moves, but body movements that I think are really good to learn and they help you move the right way in wrestling. Yeah. But as far as this guy saying it's just the beginning, like, stop. Just stop.
The wrestling helps jiu-jitsu way more than jiu-jitsu is going to help wrestling, in my opinion.
Yes, I would say I would agree.
As a very white belt. Ben, you gave yourself a black belt, right?
Damn straight I did.
You should put it in your Twitter bio. Jiu-jitsu black belt.
Maybe I'll put black belt Ben tomorrow or something.
I like it. Black belt Ben. I'll ask. Hey, I'm doing the Who's Number One grappling show with AJ Agazarm. He wrestled. He does jiu-jitsu. I'm gonna ask him.
Don't. He's the worst. He's so annoying.
I hope you watch. I hope you watch.
I refuse to watch AJ Agazarm. He's a poser. He's a fraud. He's annoying. I don't entertain anything that he says.
Well, he's pretty good.
This guy, he's all right. This jabroni wants to act like he's a good fighter. He's got like one fight. Like, give me a break.
He's 3-1. He is 3-1.
Okay, 3-1. Okay. Ooh, sorry, I missed by a couple fights. Who did he get beat up by? This man lost a split decision in his first fight. He's a bum. There's not a lot of people I don't like, Christian, but AJ Agazarm's one of them. He's annoying and he's a bum.
Oh man.
Sorry, that's it.
All right,
I'm sure he'll have kind words for me also.
Yeah, I'm sure, but it's nothing but love between you two, clearly.
Yeah, but I went a decade without losing, and he lost to some bum in his first fight. So get lost, AJ.
Okay. I don't know if
you want me to keep going.
No, you're good. You're good. I get it. We all get it. So I don't know if you want to answer this specifically, but whatever. I'll shoot my shot here. Which of Ben's athletes in specific does he think take the biggest hit in terms of recruiting because of no Fargo?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I necessarily want to name, any names, but obviously the junior class is the one, right? Because the sophomores are going to always have next year. Oh my gosh, you want me to make it even worse on AJ Agazarm?
Yeah.
The bum that he lost to only has one. He went. Listen, he beat AJ. He beat AJ and said, "All right, that's it. I'm done. I don't even do this fighting thing."
He's done.
When AJ starts
his only fight,
he's done. Only fight ever.
He did one fight, beat AJ, and never fought again?
That Sherdog says that's his only fight.
Okay, I can't believe that's actually true, but I believe the Sherdog says
look
that.
It up.
I believe the Sherdog says that. I just can't believe he fought someone that was 0-0, lost to him, and that person said, I'm good,
yeah.
Seacrest out.
Yeah, so then when AJ starts talking about fighting, tell him he's a bum. Get out of here.
I will not tell him he's a bum.
Tell him I said he's a bum. He lost to a dude who was 0-0.
Okay.
Hey,
right, everyone's 0-0 sometime.
It's true. Okay, let me think. So, yeah, like I said, we have a lot of juniors who have, a few of them, obviously, like Matty Bianchi, he's already committed to University of Little Rock. A few of them already have getting looks, but I think there's a handful who, are kind of under the radar and haven't quite made their full breakout yet. Kind of like a Keegan. I don't know the name will be as good as Keegan, but if you look at freshman offseason and then fall of sophomore year to then summer of sophomore year and fall of junior year for Keegan, I mean, it was like two totally different people, completely just different worlds. And I think we have a few guys who are making really, really strong improvements. And so, yeah, it just sucks that they're not going to get to go out and, compete. And hopefully the UWW trials happen. And then obviously, hopefully we have a big fall.
Yeah. Amen. Okay.
This could hurt colleges too, like their evaluation of guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're not getting a chance to see him as much against the high-level guys. It'll be interesting to see ways they maybe work around that, or if
I think it helps the hustlers.
Yeah.
Because if it makes it harder, you got to dig deeper. You got to be talking to more coaches. You got to be doing a lot of different things you're not used to. And some will just kick it down the road and say, all right, I'll catch him at Super 32. And the lunatics. And there is a work discrepancy among college coaches, right? Some put in the work, put in the hours.
You're saying this is not me, Christian. You're going to feel mad at you.
Do you disagree? Do you think everyone does the exact same amount of work in recruiting?
Listen, I don't know that for a fact, but I've said it. Yes, that you're right. That's highly unlikely that's the case.
Well, hold on, Ben.
I disagreed with you. I agreed with you.
I know. But
I'm just saying I've never seen that, so I wouldn't want to throw anyone under the bus.
And
but
throw anyone under the bus.
You are correct. Well, you got someone in mind right now.
I didn't. Maybe not. You don't know that.
You're busted.
No, there's some that. Listen, in any profession, there is that bell curve of work ethic. Okay.
I agree.
How would that possibly not apply to college coaching?
I agree.
Okay.
I agree with you. I'm just saying, you had someone in mind. I don't. I don't so much you get in trouble. Just watch your tongue because people will be sensitive.
I know that. That's why I didn't say anyone's name. I literally don't have anyone in mind. I have the hustlers in mind, but I don't have the.
Okay. Who's the biggest? Give me like your top 3 hustlers.
I'm thinking back in the day when I was at a bunch of tournaments, I just saw Nate Engel and Frank Beasley at every tournament I ever went to. It was like they're here. Lee Pritz is up there. Lee Pritz is only ever on his phone. Like
he's also at every tournament, like you're saying.
He is at every tournament. In 2014, I was at Arizona State because they had the national team camp there, and basically, whether I liked it or not, I worked for Zeke Jones that weekend. It was just I had the itinerary. I was like, it was great. I loved it. I really appreciated it, and so I was with Coach Pritz a bunch, and just I loved it because I'm nonstop. This guy is just not. All right, got to pick this guy up, do this thing, call this guy, text this guy, do this. This dude is just a worker, total worker. So those are some of the guys.
Chris Perry's a hustler.
Chris Perry.
And since he really got on staff there, you've seen the uptick in recruiting as well.
Someone's going to get mad at me for not saying their name now. I shouldn't even started this. But that's just too
What about Roper? He's a hustler, right?
For sure. Of course.
Okay.
Of course, Lee Roper. Goes without saying.
So many people are going to get mad at you.
Yeah.
John Reeder, he's mad at you now.
Oh, okay. Come on. Here we go. John Reeder, obviously. Coach Bono, obviously.
Man's nickname's
Coach Bono. Coach Bono just sitting in his house in Wanakee, Wisconsin. But Reeder's out there grinding on the streets.
Yeah, Kyle Bracky's Sweet Tooth asked when Roper's joining FRL permanently. Best wrestling mind in the game, he says. I don't think he'll ever join it permanently because he's got wrestlers to coach and stuff like that. But obviously, open invitation for Lee Roper.
Yeah, he's
awesome.
Fun.
He's an awesome guy to have on. Okay, I did not include this to antagonize or rekindle, but this person had this question, and I just want to see you refute it. So because I don't necessarily agree with his perspective here, but I'm just going to read the question. Enough's enough. This is from Pi @_3.14. If talent does not exist, explain Bubba J winning a national title Brandon Sorensen, Jared Hott, Tyler Graff never did. You admitted, Ben Askren, Bubba J didn't work hard. The other names are known to be super hard workers. Explanation is Bubba is super talented.
Well, I think this is fairly easily to refute. So I didn't say Bubba Jenkins didn't work hard. I said he was inconsistent in his work ethic, right? Sometimes he'd come in and really buzz his ass, and other times, he would dog it a little bit. But he did. You're right. There were times when he really picked it up. The other thing, I see a lot, especially I see this in wrestling a lot, Christian, is if a coach and or parent, and I don't know Bubby Jenkins' childhood, so I can't speak for his childhood, but I know he was really good in high school, so this is a possibility. If a parent and or a coach grinds a kid when they're young, the kid will retain those skills, right? Once they've done a 10,000 single legs, they've done 10,000 single legs, they're always going to have a good single leg. Mm-hmm. What's going to start lacking is their motivation, right? And so, and I'm not going to throw under the bus, but Bubba's definitely not one of them. But I can tell you there's a lot of high school wrestlers who have great skills because they've been developed, because their coaches and or parents have grinded them, but because they cut too much weight and they competed too much, by the time they get to college, their motivation level is way down, right? And so you'll see these flashes of brilliance because they are in fact really good at wrestling, but their motivation level is way down. So you see very inconsistent performances. You see them probably not achieving as much as they could. It has nothing to do with talent. It has to do with the fact that they've been grinded for, probably from age 5 to age 18. They've developed really, really good skills at wrestling. And you guys can probably picture some of these guys I'm talking about. And then from age 18 to 22, they lack the motivation. And the college coach puts up with their shit because, well, they can see that they are really good in wrestling, in fact.
Yes.
So, anyone come to mind?
You're just trying to get me beat down. Hey, so as I've been thinking about this, one, I think correlating hard work with success is doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I think it does, but at the same time, it's like, well, the hardest worker will not be the best wrestler. And also, you're thinking about the wrong things. You reduce wrestling down to just hard work what? Hard work at what? At running a lot, at lifting a lot, at doing a lot of wrestling practices. But like, how much problem solving did Bubba Jenkins do?
Bubba was really smart.
Yes. So how much problem solving did he do? And while some wrestlers, not the wrestlers on this list, but while some wrestlers only do what they're told, do this, and they never develop problem solving skills, right? And they never have to really figure it out. They just know, coach told me to work on singles. And I don't know Bubba really at all, but I would guess he probably had to do some problem solving and figure out how to win, right? So he had to figure out how to win. And that's what he was able to do better than those other guys, than a lot of other guys. Yeah. He's a junior world champion.
I don't have my list in front of me, but Bubba was highly intelligent, great game planner, understood the sport of wrestling. I mean, there was a lot of really positive qualities. And then, we go with the balance of fast twitch, slow twitch, right? Someone like me who's slow twitch is naturally going to be slow, but has great endurance. Someone like Bubba who's lightning quick, he's going to get tired sometimes. And one of the things I won't go as far as saying it's racist, but a lot of dumb wrestling people have this in their mind that just because someone gets tired, they didn't work hard. And that's just not the case, right? We take Bubba and me for examples. I am just not going to get as tired as Bubba because, listen, I could sit now I'm 35 minutes. Like this. When I was 22, Christian, and I never did this, I could have sat on the couch for 3 months straight. I could have popped up and wrestled for 40 minutes. I could have. No problem whatsoever. Just because I had that was my muscle composition, and someone like Bubba is going to be the opposite. Or another great example, obviously, me and Tyron Woodley. Tyron, for example, he had an injury, he didn't lift for a while, and he came back and his numbers didn't go down almost at all, right? So kind of like my example with my gas tank. I had an injury one time, I didn't lift. When I came back, dude, my numbers were they dropped like a rock, right? So my explosiveness went down almost immediately. And so I don't say I'm not going to say people are racist, but I am going to say a lot of wrestling people, when they see someone get tired, it is just from the mentality of, oh, he must not have worked hard then. And that is just such a dumb misconception. an understanding of the sport of wrestling. Hey, yes, so I kind of got traffic there. I talked there. You just mentioned problem solving, Christian, and that's great. Anthony Robles, that's a guy right there. I always talk about the difference between his junior year and senior year. He had 9 losses, and then he had 0. He went from 7th to 1st. There's a guy right there that, listen, no one could tell him how to wrestle with one leg.
Yeah. Right?
None of us have one leg. And he went and did some serious problem solving, some serious thought. And obviously he had some, like Brian Stith, I know was really influential in his thinking. Brian, another really smart guy. But he literally figured it out, right? He figured out how he could get his body to do these different takedowns that he wasn't doing his junior year, and that was what made him so successful. So would it have been better for Anthony Robles to just drill a billion times all the takedowns he was doing his junior year? No, he probably would have had the exact same result. Yeah. It was significantly more important for him to do that problem solving, say, how am I getting stopped? And then he figures it out, and now all of a sudden he's on top within a minute in every single match his senior year.
And the other thing about that is hard work is in many ways easier and simpler than problem solving, because there's no set parameters for, okay, if you got to do a 3-mile run, you've got to do these lifts, and you got to wrestle for an hour and a half. There's parameters, and you just go and you do it, and you can get through it. The human body, but there's no parameters for solving a problem. Like, okay, correct, I'll put in 20 minutes of problem solving. Who knows if that's going to be enough? It's not how problem solving really works, right? It is
not how it works.
You do have to put in the time, but it's just going to be it's so much more, I guess, would I say more art than science? I'm not sure how I would describe it, but it's not that simple.
Yeah. I would agree. And so, there's significant inherent biases within people on what things they value. And in wrestling, problem solving has a very low value, but obviously, in my opinion, it's got a very high upside, right? You can get a huge amount of benefit. We was talking about Anthony Robles. You get a huge amount of benefit out of problem solving. And I'm not going to say the name of this person, but so Mark Ellis, my good friend who's a national champion, he was working at camp with someone. And, he came from our Missouri school of thought, which is, solve these problems, figure it out, weren't you good? And he was with someone who had just came up a little bit short at the national tournament, and that person probably could benefit from a little bit of problem solving. And that person definitely 100% worked their butt off, worked really, really, really hard. And, Mark was just talking to him, and he said, hey, how you get, I don't remember what the phrase was, how you going to get better for next year, or, what, and the guy had said, I got to work harder. I got to keep working harder. And Mark was like, well, from everything I've heard, you work really hard. Like, can you really work that much harder? Or maybe is it a few new moves that you need to add? Mm-hmm. And, the kid was convinced that he just needed to work harder, and that was going to solve everything. And a lot of people in wrestling, they like to think that way. And that's, can hard work solve some problems? Yeah, of course it can, right? Is it going to solve all your problems? Nope.
Boom. Well said.
Yeah.
From Locked Hands, if Kyle has to punch through 10 layers of drywall for one flavor of Monster, what flavor would it be?
Probably just original.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's a classic guy.
Yeah. No, I am.
Basic.
It is no, it's basic. It is.
Okay. Basic Bracky. Fine. All right. I think we did this. Show. We officially did it. Good show. Ending on the good little conversation about hard work and problem solving, et cetera, et cetera. Cool. Kyle Grover, thank you for producing the show. We are good to go. You can play us out. Thanks to the funky one, Ben Askren, the Anheuser-Busch, Anheuser-Ben. Ben doesn't drink, but his Twitter handle is now Anheuser.
You don't know what Anheuser is. You need to go Google it.
I probably won't, but that's okay. Maybe I will.
I didn't know.
Oh my goodness! Either. Nick Simmons, the East Lansing Strangler, just texted me that there's going to be an Ironman freestyle folk style Greco tournament. I gotta read. It's a flyer on my phone. They're bringing it back, just like I talked about, Bracky.
Boom, Ironman. Very good. Well, hey, thanks a lot. Thanks to Bracky. Thanks to you for listening. We'll be back this time Tuesday, next Tuesday. Have a good weekend. Be safe. It's going to get better. See you soon. Thanks.
See ya.